Level 1. The first signal. You're 23 years old and you work at a gas station convenience store making $11 an hour, and you hate every customer who walks through the door because they all look like they have more money than you. You share a studio apartment with your best friend Marcus, who you've known since middle school, and he's the only person who still believes in you after you dropped out of community college. Your credit card debt is $6,000, which feels like a number you'll never escape, and Marcus works a night shift at a warehouse just to help cover rent. One night, a man walks into the store wearing a suit that probably costs more than your car and a chain that catches the fluorescent light in a way that makes you feel like you're looking at a different species. He buys a Red Bull and a pack of gum, and he looks at your name tag and says, "You look like someone who wants more than this." And you laugh because it's true, and the laugh is bitter, and he hears it. He slides a card across the counter with a Telegram username on it, and he says, "Message me tomorrow. I have something for you." You take the card and you stare at it after he leaves, and you think about the suit and the chain and the confidence he had, and you wonder what it would feel like to walk into a room like that. You message the username that night because what else are you going to do? Work at the gas station for the rest of your life and die under fluorescent lights with your name tag still on? The person who responds calls himself Michael, and he tells you he trades crypto and he's looking for someone to help with signal distribution. He says the signals are based on his proprietary algorithm and they hit 90% of the time, and all you have to do is copy and paste what he sends you into a group chat. You ask how much it pays and he says $2,000 a month, which is more than you make at the gas station, and you say yes before he finishes the sentence. You tell Marcus about it that night and he's skeptical, but he says, "If you think it's real, I trust you." And that trust is the most valuable thing you own. You never see the man from the gas station again, and you don't think about him because Michael is the one you're talking to now, and Michael is the one who's going to change your life. Level 2. The growing confidence. You've been sending signals for 3 months, and you're making $2,500 a month now, and you've finally paid off your credit card debt and bought Marcus a new phone because he's been using a cracked one for 2 years. Michael is posting screenshots on Telegram of his trading account with numbers that have too many commas, and you believe them because you want to believe them because your entire life depends on believing in something. Michael tells you to start building your own following, to start posting about crypto on social media, to start sounding like you know what you're talking about, and you follow his instructions because he's the one with the confidence and the money and the answers you don't have. Marcus helps you film content. He holds the camera and he tells you when you look nervous, and he's the only person who knows you're faking it. A girl named Sarah messages you and asks if she can be your premium member, and she pays you $1,000 for the premium signals that Michael claims are his most accurate. You take her money and you send her the same signals you send everyone else because there are no premium signals. There's just the same message pasted into different groups with different prices attached to them. Sarah messages you constantly, asking questions about your strategy and your background and your experience, and you tell her everything Michael told you, which is all lies. She seems like a genuine believer, and you almost feel guilty taking her money, but the guilt passes because the money is good and she keeps paying. Michael tells you to ignore people who ask too many questions because they're weak hands who will never succeed in the market, and you repeat his words to yourself like a mantra that's starting to work. Level 3. The Empire. You're 25 years old and you've been doing this for 14 months, and you're making $12,000 a month from 3 different signal groups and a course you created that you copied directly from Michael's old content. You've moved out of the studio apartment and into a better place with actual windows, and Marcus lives with you because he's your best friend and you promised you never leave him behind. Michael introduces you to a guy named Derek who runs a signal aggregator, and Derek offers you $5,000 a month to have your signals included in his app. You take the deal because the money is good and you don't have to do anything different than what you're already doing. Marcus starts handling the money for you, collecting payments and sending them to your accounts, and you trust him completely because he's been with you since middle school. Michael tells you about a signal challenge where you compete against other signal providers, and the winner gets $100,000 and the top spot on Derek's app. You tell Marcus about the challenge and he says, "This is our shot. We can't mess this up." Sarah messages you with screenshots of her losses. She's down $10,000 following your signals, and she asks if you can help her understand what she's doing wrong. You give her the same script Michael gave you. The market is volatile. You can't win them all, and she accepts it without arguing. You don't think about her again because you're too busy preparing for the challenge and counting the money that's coming in faster than you can spend it. You start noticing that Marcus seems more stressed than usual, and you ask him what's wrong, and he says, "Nothing, just tired." And you believe him because he's never lied to you before. Level 4, the trap. The challenge starts and you're nervous because everyone is watching and everyone has access to your performance. Week 1 goes okay, 3 wins and 2 losses, but the stress is eating you alive and you're not sleeping. Sarah reappears, not as a complainant, but as a follower who's tracking your performance publicly and commenting on every signal you send. She's leading a group of investors who lost money on your signals, and they're building a case against you, collecting screenshots and recording your messages. You find out from a friend that Sarah has contacted Derek and she's told him about the fraud, and Derek is now investigating the accuracy of all your signals. Derek sends you a message that says, "We need to talk," and you panic and call Michael, but his number is disconnected and his Telegram account is deleted. He's gone. Completely gone. No trace. You realize he's left you holding everything, the fraud, the victims, the evidence, and he's taking nothing because he never put his name on anything. You tell Marcus everything and he says, "What do we do?" And you say, "I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." You spend 3 days in a panic, trying to figure out how to fix something that can't be fixed. Marcus sits with you every night, and he says, "We're going to figure this out together," and you believe him because you have no one else. The meeting with Derek happens in his office, and there are 2 other people there. Sarah looks at you and she says, "I've been working on this case for 2 years, and the words don't make sense because Sarah is supposed to be a victim." You're arrested that night, and the last person you see before they put you in the car is Marcus, standing outside the office, watching you with an expression you've never seen on his face. Level 5, the truth. You've been in federal custody for 3 months, and your lawyer tells you the evidence against you is overwhelming. Screenshots, recordings, bank records, everything. Sarah has become the lead witness, and she's also become a public figure who speaks out against online trading scams. And her story is compelling, and your lies are not. Marcus visits you for the first time, and he sits across from you with red eyes and a voice that's barely a whisper. You tell him you're sorry. You tell him you didn't mean for any of this to happen. You tell him you were just trying to make a better life for both of you. Marcus looks at you and he says, "I know." And then he says the words that change everything. "I'm the one who set you up." You don't understand. You tell him you don't understand, and he explains. He says, "Michael was me. I created the Telegram account. I sent the messages. I gave you the signals. I was the one coaching you the whole time." The words don't make sense because Marcus has been your best friend since middle school, because Marcus helped you film content, because Marcus handled the money, because Marcus was the only person you trusted. He says, "I was an informant. The FBI approached me after they saw your first social media post, and they offered me immunity if I helped build the case against you." You ask him why, and he says, "Because you were the perfect target. You were desperate. You were naive. You would believe anything anyone told you as long as it came with a promise of money. Do you know how easy it was to manipulate you? I didn't even have to try. I just had to exist in your life and let you do the rest." You ask him if any of it was real. Any of it. The friendship, the trust, the nights he sat with you and told you everything would be okay. Marcus laughs, a cold laugh that doesn't reach his eyes, and he says, "You really want to know? Fine. I hated you. I hated watching you stumble through life, pretending you were going to make something of yourself. You were never going to make it. You were never good enough. I just wanted to see how far I could push you before you broke. And look at you now. You're broken. You're exactly where you were always going to end up." You ask him about the gas station, about the man who approached you. Marcus smiles, and it's the most terrifying thing you've ever seen on his face. And he says, "That was a paid actor. I told him exactly what to say, how to dress, how to act. He didn't ask questions because the money was good and he didn't care. You weren't special. You were just a job to him. And you were just a job to me." He stands up to leave and he looks back at you one last time and he says, "The worst part is, you still don't get it. You were never the victim. You were his tool. There's a difference, and you're too stupid to even see that." He walks out and you sit there and you feel everything you thought you knew about your life collapse in a single moment. He was never your friend. He was never your ally. He was a predator who saw something broken in you and decided to exploit it. And the worst part is, you let him because you were so desperate for someone to believe in you that you believed the first person who acted like they did. Level 6, the bribe. Your trial is coming up, and your lawyer tells you the prosecution has a solid case. But there's one piece of evidence that could be challenged if you can get to the witness who's holding it. A civilian named Rodriguez, a guy who worked at a crypto exchange and has records that show the signals were all generated from your IP address. You reach out to Rodriguez through a contact in prison, and you offer him $50,000 to destroy the records. Rodriguez agrees to meet you in the visiting room, and he seems nervous, but he says he'll do it for the money. You transfer the funds through a contact on the outside, and you wait for the evidence to disappear. 2 weeks later, your lawyer calls you and says, "The prosecution has more evidence than we thought. They have records from your IP address. They have screenshots. They have everything." You say, "That's impossible. I had someone take care of that." Your lawyer is silent for a moment, and then he says, "The man you bribed, Rodriguez? He's the lead investigator. His full name is Special Agent Rodriguez. He's the same FBI agent who arrested you." You feel the world collapse around you as the realization hits. You tried to bribe the FBI agent investigating your case, and he recorded every word of your conversation. The bribe charge is added to your file, and your sentence goes from 10 years to 18 years. Level 7, the trial. The trial starts and you sit at the table with your lawyer while the prosecution presents their case. Sarah testifies first, describing the entire operation from her perspective, talking about the signals, the lies, and the money she lost with a calm and professional voice. Marcus takes the stand next and walks to the witness box looking nervous like a victim, and the prosecutor asks him how he got involved in the crypto scam. Marcus takes a deep breath and says that his best friend, the defendant, got him into it, that he didn't want to and was pressured, that he was told if he didn't help, he would be cut out of his life, and he looks at you with sad eyes and says he had no choice because he was scared of you. You stand up and shout that it's a lie and that he set you up, but the judge hits the gavel and tells you to sit down while your lawyer tells you to stay quiet. The prosecutor continues asking Marcus questions, and Marcus explains how you forced him to help you, how you made him handle the money, and how you were the one creating the signals, saying he was just following orders and didn't know it was a scam until later when he was already trapped. The jury watches Marcus and sees a scared young man who made a mistake. Then they look at you and see someone angry and guilty, exactly like the mastermind Marcus described. Your lawyer cross-examines Marcus and asks why he didn't report you earlier, and Marcus says he was afraid because you were his best friend and he didn't know what to do and didn't want to ruin your life. Your lawyer asks Marcus about the gas station and the man who approached you, but Marcus looks confused and says he doesn't know what the lawyer is talking about, denying everything, denying hiring an actor, and denying creating the Michael persona, saying he never heard that name before. You stand up again and scream that he's a liar and that he's Michael and that he set you up, but the judge orders the bailiffs to restrain you while your lawyer tells you to stop talking. You look around the courtroom at the jury, the judge, Sarah, and Marcus, and nobody believes you because your lawyer didn't know about Marcus being the mastermind since you never told him. And you thought you could prove it yourself, but Marcus was prepared and ready and always one step ahead. Marcus testifies for 3 hours giving details about your operation, dates, amounts, and messages, making you look like the criminal mastermind while making himself look like a victim who made a mistake and tried to do the right thing in the end. The prosecutor thanks Marcus and says he did the right thing, and Marcus nods and steps down from the witness box, and as he walks past you on his way out, he looks at you and smirks, and that's when you snap. You jump forward towards him and tackle him to the floor, the court in shock as you fight him on the ground and land a blow to his face, and the guards rush to separate you from Marcus, who is still playing the victim. The jury takes 3 hours to deliberate, and they find you guilty on all counts, and the judge sentences you to 18 years in federal prison. As they lead you out of the courtroom, you see Marcus in the gallery with his swollen face, and he's not smiling anymore. He's laughing because he's won and he got everything. Level 8, the aftermath. You've been in federal prison for 3 years, and the days are blurring together in a way that's almost peaceful because the blur is easier to survive than the sharp edges of everything you lost. And you've had a lot of time to think about Marcus on the witness stand and the way he lied and the way everyone believed him. A guard hands you a newspaper one morning and you see Marcus's face on the front page with a headline that says, "Hero Informant Receives Promotion for Taking Down Crypto Fraud Ring." And the article describes him as a brave young man who risked everything to expose his best friend's criminal operation. It says he cooperated with the FBI for 2 years, gathering evidence and documenting your activities before finally testifying against you, and that he's been promoted to a senior position and received a monetary reward for his service. You read the article 3 times because the words don't make sense, because Marcus is the villain and should be in here. But your hands shake as you hold the newspaper and you feel something inside you break that you didn't know could break. You write Marcus a letter from prison asking how he can sleep at night and how he can look at himself in the mirror. But he never responds because he doesn't need to since he won and you lost, and there's nothing you can do about it. You find out from another inmate that Marcus has been giving interviews talking about the dangers of crypto fraud and how he took a stand against crime. And you watch one of his interviews on a tablet in the prison library, seeing his face confident and calm, realizing he was always like this, but you just never saw it because you were too busy trusting him. Your mother writes you a letter saying she visited Marcus's mother and told her about the letter you sent, and she says she doesn't know what to believe anymore because Marcus seems so sincere and sorry. And he told her he tried to help you stop, but you wouldn't listen. You read the words and feel the distance between you and your mother grow even wider because Marcus has gotten to her too, turning her against you and taking everything from you. You write back telling her the whole truth, every detail, every lie, every betrayal, but she doesn't respond. And after 2 months of waiting, you realize she's chosen to believe him because it's easier than accepting that her son was destroyed by someone he loved. Years pass and you spend your days working in the prison library, reading books and avoiding conversations and staying invisible, watching other inmates get released while you have 15 years left, which is a lifetime when you're counting every day. You get released after serving 15 years and you're 41 years old, walking out of the prison gates to a world that moved on without you. And you move to a new city and get a job at a warehouse making $16 an hour, loading trucks just like Marcus used to do. You spend your days in silence, counting boxes and avoiding people and coming home to an empty apartment, not making friends or trusting anyone, because trusting people means opening yourself up to getting hurt again. One night in the break room, you see Marcus on the news giving a press conference about the dangers of crypto fraud, looking happy and successful and confident while you're standing in a warehouse break room wearing a uniform with your name on it, counting the hours until your shift ends. You walk outside and stand in the parking lot staring up at the sky, thinking about the gas station, the actor, the card, the dream, and the betrayal, realizing you'll never get justice or the truth or anything back, because the only thing you have left is survival, and survival is just a more expensive word for existence. You started with nothing and you ended with less. Your best friend was never your friend. Your mentor was a voice on Telegram. Your success was a lie. Your freedom was a dream. And the person who took everything from you is now a hero, celebrated for destroying you. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who deserves to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.